daily parade here at the second day at the Pageant of Steam. It first got founded back in 1961 with a group of people who grew up with steam, who had interest in preserving the history and some of the old steam engines that they remembered in their younger days. Thus founded the Steam Engine Association, so it's always customary to start our parade with some steam engines. The first one that you're going to see here today on the track, the 1917 Frick Eclipse, made in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. This is a 50 horsepower machine that is owned by Rick and Julie Finley and family of Marion, New York. This steam engine has been in their family for a lot of years. Also been over the years in most of the shows here at the Pageant of Steam. Steam was a great development. It sure represents the transition doing manual labor by hand or with animals to doing it with something mechanical. And for a period of years, certainly in the 1800s and early 1900s, steam was commonly used. Operating Finley's steam engine is Tom Curtis, and Tom and his brother Ed own the next engine that's coming up here. This 1920 case 50 horsepower traction engine that's been operated by one of the owners, Ed Curtis here. Here again, this steam engine, a lot of them tend to stay in the same families for years and years. This is another example of a long-time family-owned steam engine and been here over the years to most of the Pageant of Steam. Not everybody wants, not everybody can afford a great big steam engine, but sometimes people like small ones. And here's a good example of that. Here's Charles Medler from Berkshire, New York, and he has a 1/3 scale model of a 1915 65 horsepower engine that he calls the Little Elf. It was completed in 1997 as a twin engine steam engine. The only twin was known around. Okay, very good. Nice. These steam engines, later after the parade, if you would like to see them plow, they'll be out in the plow field on the south end of the ground, doing plowing as well as some of the prairie tractors. Later this evening, during the regular tractor pull, these tractors will come out and put the trailers flat. Coming up next is our first gasoline-powered tractor in 45, Oliver 70. The tractor we see here every year, owned by Dwayne Arnold, Kirkville, New York. This here is a nice example of our Oliver Row 70 and Oliver Plowmaster plow. And this is the first of hopefully many Olivers you'll see in the parade here today, because the Pageant of Steam is the host site of the national show of the Hard Part Oliver Collectors Association. After the parade, walk out on the south end of the grounds, out to where the new building is. You're going to see several hundred Oliver tractors. A lot of them come a long ways away. Next, we have an Oliver OC6 crawler. We've got a young operator, engine control. Tom Rieger, or Recker from Powell, Pennsylvania, with a 1959 Oliver Clean-Track. Oliver acquired the Cleveland Tractor Company that made crawler tractors for 100 years. Started in 1916 and marketed them as Olivers after they acquired them. They will be part of the Oliver display. They were all moved on big tractor trailer trucks, low-boy trailers. The other connection is this white 1976 white Road Commander 2 road tractor built by White Truck Company, Motor Company. They acquired Oliver Farmington in 1960. So they were the parent company for Oliver Farmington. Now Norm, I like the kid Norm, but he's got a really heavy load on this truck right here. Example that if you don't want to own a big prairie tractor steam engine, but you're really talented at your craft as a welder, as a builder, as a machinist, you do things like what you see here. Reed Caster's the owner of a scale model Runley oil pool. Runs on kerosene, designed after the big Runley oil pools, which you may see at least one of them later in the parade. I'm sure this scale model from the oil pool has some meaning to Reed because his grandfather, Harlan, more commonly known as Don Castor of Penn Yan, built this years ago. Great-grandfather. I missed a generation someplace. My time's gone by. Too much time. All right. And Harlan was also president of the New York Steam Engine Association for a lot of years back in, the 1970s. He was president for several years. And Harlan built this nice machine and it's still in the family today. They were just a cool sounding tractor, gave it a lot more power, and actually the old original engines that was in a 9N, 2N, and 8N was really a half of a Ford V8 engine to begin with. So a nice example of Ford V8. This next steam engine has a lot of meaning to the New York Steam Engine Association. This is a 1909 Langdon Button steam traction engine. This was built by Langdon Button in Ithaca, New York. Years ago, virtually every town, every city had at least one manufacturer of farm equipment. Ithaca was no exception. Langdon Button built not only steam engines, but also built farm implements. This steam engine has the distinction of being the very first Pageant of Steam, 1961. And also, if you look at any logos on any t-shirts or any advertising within the New York Steam Engine Association, you're going to see this logo of a steam engine and this pattern after the steam engine here. This engine was owned years ago by David Bart Conroy. Dave was the past president of the association. In later years, Jim Earl of Canandaigua became the owner of it. And then just a few years ago, Jim offered it to the New York Steam Engine Association. It needed restoration and rebuilding. The association purchased it, sent it to Ohio to get a trained boiler in, various members. The association worked on the other details of it and got it back running. And it was last year, the first year, that it come back running after a number of years.
This is a tractor out of Jack Hart, 1954 Oliver 77 Standard.
Here in New York, around these Oliver, you saw mostly row crop. You traveled Ontario, Canada, out west, see a lot of standards.
That's the 1954 Oliver OC4. Jerry and Patty Lee, they belong to the Mason-Dixon Club, Pennsylvania. Thanks for coming up here.
All right, Steve, thank you, Steve. Steve mentioned about being maneuverable and all that. That was one of the things with the bigger steam engines that you've seen earlier. They were great on belt power. They were seldom used in this part of the United States, doing much field work. They were very prominent out in the prairie province of Canada, in our western Great Plains, in the big open fields. Otherwise, it's mostly used for stationary work.
Sawyer was a predecessor to Nancy Harris, eventually became Ferguson. For those people who don't know, there was a large factory in India. Nancy Harris factory is still standing. That's where they made all the Nancy Harris flipper combines.
That's right. Patrick McGinn from North Bangor, New York. You've come a little ways. 1940s, John Deere, LA. Got a diesel. What kind of diesel you got? HATC. How did you come about to put a diesel in this thing?
I had a whole bunch of parts and pieces from all kinds of tractors and an air compressor.
In a lot of time.
Sometimes.
That's pretty neat. I think that's the first LA diesel I ever seen. Yeah. Thanks for coming. That was a good 5-hour trip. Yes. Is that who I think it is? Don't know. I think so. Bruce Wright from Trillingsburg. The International. Marmol Model B. Yeah, all right. Gotta be around here with the wind blows. Okay, and he is completely exploring this tractor. Family ownership and a lot of fun rides on what people really like. Okay, Pageant of Steam, 1932, Marmol, Chapter 12.
By Dave Goldsmith, the grandson of the original owner, Mr. W. Ball of Auburn, New York.
Thank you. Nice job.
Back in the early years, 1910s and the 1920s, lots of several hundred tractor manufacturers that each was riding along with the unique design and work, ultimately work, so here's an example of what some of the ideas, what the design, right on the wheel, Delaware, 1953, Auburn 88 program. Nicely done. Here's another example that sometimes lots of people can get very creative when it comes to steam. Dave Richard, North Bentley. And it's all about home-built steam engines. Now, pay attention to the operator here on this next tractor, and I'll let him speak about it as he gets up to it. This is Jim Jr. of Canandaigua. horses all the time, a lot of people found it very repulsive to consider farming anything other than a team of horses. Manufacturers went through all kinds of ideas and ways to convince that horse farmers to switch over to something mechanical. Now let him speak about his tractor here.
This is a 1921 advanced rolling line drive. There were two of these built as a prototype. As far as they ever got with it, it wasn't very successful in converting the horsepower into tractors. We're fortunate to have this in good running condition, and we're pleased to show it to you today. Thank you.
This tractor was built to be as similar to driving a team of horses as possible. Was also designed to be able to use your farm implements that you were using behind your team of horses. You could ride this thing, you could walk beside it and drive it just like you could a team. Lighted right on time, and usually when they handle the mic, and listen, Tractor Mac. If you're a person my age, you probably never heard of Tractor Mac, but if you stand up this fall, I think everybody knows it.
It's probably the most photographed tractor in New England, I think, but it's not as cool as the runway out there. So he just stands in for the character in my children's books that I write for Wall Street. We're celebrating our 16th year doing the children's books. So Tractor Mac gets to go to schools and fairs and great tractor shows like this. And New York State Steam.
Number 81, Ron Cooley from Canandaigua. Get a general. Hello everybody, this 1939 General GG has been in my family since it was new. It's now for sale.
The General was built by the Quick Track Cleveland Tractor Company to be the thrower that you see ahead of there. And for a short period of time, they did the basic time frame of the robot tractor.
The next tractor is the 1961 Oliver 660, owned by Kristen and Jason from Thurberville, Pennsylvania.
A nice looking tractor, very flexible tractor too, 660.
Next tractor is a 1962 Oliver 440, owned by Sharon Snyder of Muncie, Pennsylvania. This is one of the more rare Oliver tractors. They are collector's items and everybody wants them.
They were used a lot of woodrow crop farming, woodrow vegetable, and particularly tobacco down in the southeast, you see a lot of them.
Next tractor is a 1939 Oliver 80 from Muncie, Pennsylvania. The owner is Jason Snyder. Nice job, guys. And a 1954 Oliver Super 77. First Super 77 made owned by Roger and Jason Snyder of Muncie, PA. Next item is going to be a 1957 John Deere Silver 720.
Sold by David Christensen of Hendrick Years in the day, yeah. This 720 and the 50 you're going to see 3 tractors later are probably 2 of maybe the only tool on the ground that still works for living on a farm. They actually use these all the time for farming.
Next tractor is a 1969 John Deere 60 lawnmower, owned by Skyler Milton from Nottingham, New Hampshire. Got a 1973 John Deere 148.3. It was John Deere's first version of the hydrostatic transmission. It's also owned by Noah Schweitzer from Nottingham, New Hampshire. Nice job.
The next tractor, Dave Christensen from Penn, driving a nice John Deere 50 right here. Here again, this is a tractor that still fires for a living. owned by historian by Ed Dyna from Marlboro, New York, and then this is the one that he has recently sold to the New York Steamengine Association. So this tractor is now owned and housed here, just recently purchased by the New York Steamengine Association. So we have a very good example of very powered first tractor. This guy here, I think, is a lot of the Oliver, you know.
It's a very good Oliver. Steiner Painter, SD310, with an 8063 Cummins, I believe. Great power work, still used on their farm. I love the color, guys.
Steiner Tractor Company had great success building these tractors back in the 70s and 80s. Most of them were light green in color. This certainly's got a custom Oliver themed color to it. Steiner ultimately was bought by Case IH and they had made the design and is still being marketed for Case IH four-wheel drive. And green and white color done right down.
Next tractor coming through is an Oliver Plainfit. Oliver wasn't a four-wheel drive market. This is actually the Minneapolis Moline line that Oliver bought up in the late 50s, early 60s. It's a nice looking tractor. I believe it's got a 3-cylinder Minneapolis Moline engine in it.
Oliver Moline White actually got into this market fairly inexpensively because they use engines and rear-end drivetrain components that they were currently manufactured for the road gravel tractors.
Next version is a 1655 Oliver diesel. It's late middle 70s. It was the last year before we went to the white suspenders. Next class coming through is Brandon O'Brien from Churchill area, New York, up near Rochester. He's driving Grandma's 770 Oliver. This is for sale. Going great. This tractor is everything it says it's supposed to be, and plus, nice job, Brandon.